Hey everybody, welcome back to Becoming a Therapist. Today I have with me Aerin Riegelsberger from Therapy with Aerin. Aerin, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat with you.
Yes, so I am so curious to learn more about your practice, but I want to start with your therapist origin story. So what program you chose, what licensure you ended up with. I just want to open the floor to you and just let you take it away.
Okay, sure. So I went to California State East Bay in Hayward to get my master's of social work. I'm over in California in Oakland.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, and then I interned at a substance use program called the Stonewall Project. And then I recently took the exam to get my license earlier this year. Yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you.
So this
Yeah.
is like a recent thing.
Yeah, it's weird. I feel like in some ways it changed a lot of things, and in some ways life is just kind of the same. Like I was already in a private practice setting as an associate by the time I took my license, so it felt kind of like I was already doing private practice stuff, but it just like became official once I got the license.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm curious, how did you choose your grad school program in the first place?
Yeah, I honestly, like, money was, I think, like the biggest factor. I was like, I just want to find like the most affordable way to get the letters that I need in order to do the things that I want to do. Um, and I feel like because I had worked in a therapy setting prior to going to grad school, I'd kind of learned a bit about the field already, and like I'd kind of gotten messaging and coaching from mentors of like, school is just school. Like, usually it's outdated. Like, that's not where, you know, that's not where you're gonna like come to life as a therapist. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna you're gonna pursue your own outside education. Like, you're gonna get your experience and like kind of learn through doing, and like the school you choose is important and shapes your experience, but also like you don't need to go to the fanciest school, or the school doesn't have to like be this perfect match with everything that you want to do. Like, just go do it, and then like continue learning from people and going to trainings and learning outside. So anyway, that was kind of the thought process. It was really, I feel like the main decision was really just between like, do I want to do an MFT route or an MSW route? Um, and because I had worked with a lot of MFTs, and I was interested in a more like systems focused training, I went with the social work route. I also like kind of received advice that social work could be like more widely hireable and applicable, and like you could do more things with it. So I kind of listened to that. But now that I'm here, I'm like, it really, you can do whatever you want with either of those credentials. But yeah, that was kind of the thought process at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that's good to know. Like, that is such a chill perspective that it's not this huge make or break. If you choose like the wrong path or whatever, I do feel like,
Yeah.
it's a big investment, and so people get worried about just the little nitty gritty decisions. But we all end up in the same place eventually.
Right. And it's like you could spend a bunch of money on your grad school program. You could also save money and use that money to like take various trainings and be a part of like cohorts and do, yeah, post grad education around stuff that like actually really excites you. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to fast forward a little bit to your licensure process. Like, what was it like in your state? And remind us of like your license, your state, and just like the path to getting there. There's some interesting stories of people interacting with state boards, so I'm always curious.
Yeah. I feel like mine was fortunately like not very dramatic or exciting. My process involved, so I'm in California. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, LCSW. And that process for me meant going to grad school, getting my master's, doing two counseling internships, during grad school. And then it's only after you get your master's in social work that you get to start counting your hours. And you have to get 3,000 hours. And you have to take a law and ethics exam and take the licensing exam. And I think those are the main check boxes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like too much more than counseling, so that's good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it can feel just like this forever limbo, though. It's like, am I ever gonna get there? And then you finally get there, and you're like, wow, I did that.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, it's especially when, you're interning in some states, a lot of states, it's not paid. So we're just trudging along. It's rough.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked to a lot of friends about how it almost feels like hazing, or like this thing that like everyone has just kind of accepted that you have to go through, and then you're on the other side, and I feel like even licensed people are just like, yep, that's what you have to do. And I'm like, why does it need to be this way? Like, associates are so exploited, and
Yeah.
underpaid during their process. I was really lucky to have like really good employment situations, while getting my hours, but like I know that's not the majority.
Right. So I'm curious, how did you pull that off?
Um, a lot of it was just circumstance and not any of my doing or forethought.
Okay.
I the two internships that I did during grad school, one was at a middle school, and the other was at the substance use program that I mentioned. Um, it's called the Stonewall Project. It's through the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, and it's a really cool program. So I interned there, and then just applied to work there as a staff member, got hired, and worked there for a few more years. Um, so that was kind of, I was really lucky to intern somewhere where I had a good experience. I wanted to work there. I enjoyed the work, and I was paid like nonprofit salary, but still like I think I was a little better off than um, some folks going into like group private practice or something where they like take a enormous cut of an associate's wages. Um, and then after the Stonewall project, I still hadn't gotten my all of my hours yet, but I was like, I need to get out of community mental health before I burn out. I don't want to burn out before I even start. Um, so I quit, and I reached out to various licensed people, um, seeing if anyone was willing to take on an associate. Um, and I heard back from a mentor who kind of, yeah, he had been wanting to take on his first associate at around the same time that I was looking to like try out the private practice world, and it just worked out pretty beautifully. And he was very much like, I just want to support you in getting to the other side, and I just need to break even. Like, I'm not trying to profit off of you. Like, let's shape a financial agreement that works for both of us. So we did a lot of kind of back and forth, and like we would change things as needed. Like if I was like, I am I need to be making a little more than I'm making right now. Can we adjust something? He would work with me. And if he was like, oh, I just realized that I have this other like accounting related fee that I didn't account for, like, can we add that into your supervision fee? And like, it just was really collaborative, and I was really, really lucky. And I do not hear about those kinds of situations like ever. So yeah, I feel really, really grateful.
Yeah, that's amazing. Because I do feel like you said, it's so exploitative of interns, of associates level people. And I always wonder, like, how can we protect ourselves? And it just seems like that's just the system, and we're just stuck.
Yeah, and I think a big part of it is like setting a new precedent once we become licensed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to do the same thing. His name's Lotus. I want to do the same thing that Lotus did for me. Um, Once I like reach the 2 year mark and I'm allowed to supervise people. 'Cause yeah, we need more examples of how it can be different.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a cool mission. We got to break cycles. You know, we talk to clients about breaking cycles, but we got to break
Yeah,
cycles too.
yeah, we gotta walk the talk.
Yeah, seriously. So fast forward to today. What populations do you work with, and how has that kind of evolved over time?
Okay, so right now I work with people who are trans, queer, kinky, poly, just like alt. Um, and I love working with like artists and neurodivergent folks and spiritually inclined folks, people who are witchy, like just weirdos basically are the people I enjoy working with. And then I also work with people who use substances. And I feel like when I started, I was in the substance use world, so that was like very much my niche population. And then once I went into private practice route, that kind of shifted a bit, both because I was interested in expanding my focus, but also because um, substance use related focus just I feel like tends to find its way into community mental health supports as opposed to private practice. Like any substance use work I'm doing in my private practice is generally lower acuity than it was at the nonprofit. So, yeah.
That's fair. That's fair, given my own experience in private practice. Yeah. There's a huge shift in just like the culture and the nature of the work and like all of that stuff going from community mental health to private practice. So I'm curious, I'm putting you on the spot. If you were to give a brief overview of both for people that are considering their internship options, I mean, what would you tell, you know, maybe your past self or somebody in your shoes, or in
Yeah,
your past self's shoes?
totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know I'm putting you
So
on the spot.
it's such a good question though. Like I feel like both have so much to teach us, and like I feel like the ideal is to get a solid go at each. Like I think for me, I'm really grateful for the path that I happened to be on. It was like, I wouldn't have been able to stay in community mental health long term, but I'm still very glad I did it because I learned a lot about systems navigation and like, I don't know, just like how nonprofits work and how it feels to be collaborating with a lot of different kind of providers. And I feel like it gave me more insight on like the Medi-Cal system and billing and admin stuff. Yeah, and I feel like it taught me a lot about burnout and like
Mm.
I don't know, that's something that we support people with a lot, right? And like I enjoy working with clinicians and I feel like yeah, anyway, community mental health I think can give you really solid experience as long as you like get out before it destroys you, you know? And and then like the private practice, group practice route, I feel like there's like a lot more freedom and a lot more like mm, a little less systems navigation, a little more human focus. Um, and there's more of like a scarcity to it, both in terms of like how associates are paid and also like the reliability of the work is not as steady. Like if you have like a salaried community mental health job, you may not have a very good salary, but you know what you're gonna get each month. Whereas in private practice, you could have a lot of clients one month and then people could terminate the next month and your income is a lot different. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. I'm associate level in Kansas, but able to be in private practice, and like you are responsible for driving your own traffic, and that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, and they don't teach you that stuff in school. Sorry, that's my
Oh,
cat
you're
food
fine.
dispenser thing.
Aw.
Um, yeah, they don't teach you about the business side and the marketing side and all that. And well, at least for me, they didn't talk about
Yeah.
that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So that leads into one of my next questions. I mean, okay, so grad school doesn't teach us about marketing, doesn't teach us about the business side. It doesn't even teach us about EHRs. Mine didn't really teach me about notes. We had like one little paper about a soap note, and that was it. Scheduling, CEUs. So I'm curious, do you have any platforms or tools or resources that you swear by for people who want to go into private practice?
Um, I mean, okay, I don't know if this is totally going to answer your question, but like I'm really on the train of like joining lots of listservs and consult groups and just like trying to be as plugged in as I can. And I feel like that's where I learn about like tools that are useful and trainings that are going on. Um, I think like finding ways for your brain, like ways that work for your brain to stay plugged in to what's going on amongst your colleagues. So like, yeah, whatever's in your area, Google Groups, listservs, etc. Um, One place that I've taken lots of free solid trainings is the NoCD Academy, NOCD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, have you taken those?
Yeah, yeah, they're good.
Yeah, yeah, they're great. Um, and another training that I really like that is not free was this like 8-month cohort I was a part of called QTIFS, which is like a queer and trans focused internal family systems training if folks are like into that. Um, yeah, highly recommend that. But I think like, yeah, I don't have like softwares and like tools like that, but more like personal like strategy tools, like just ways that work for my brain to survive the work. Like I have these colored notebooks that I use for each of my clients, and it like for some reason just really works for my brain. Like I know I associate each of my clients with a color, and then like they each have their own notebook. Um, so that feels good for me. Um, I do a lot of body doubling and co-working with people to help like stay on top of the notes, which can very easily build up. I don't know. Those are some of the things that come to mind right now.
Yeah, I love that. Very neuro affirming, very queer affirming vibes all around.
We
Yeah.
try.
So I want to hear more about QTIFS. Am I
Yeah.
saying it right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's run by these two folks named Sand Chang and Nick something. I think Nick Walker. I don't know, but it's Sand and Nick. And it was like the best training I've ever taken. Like, it is what trainings should be. It was so human-centered, heart-centered, like really, really focused on like supporting the learning experience. So like so much pacing, so much like just like incorporating self-care and community care throughout the whole training. And Sand recently released a book, a QTIFS workbook. I think it's called All Parts Welcome or something like that. Um, and that's really good. But yeah, I feel like I learned so much there, and it really helped me feel more confident in my IFS and parts work skills, because like I think most of us can't afford the like the IFS, the formal certification. There's like a level 1, 2, 3, and they cost like thousands of dollars, and yeah, a lot of people
Yeah.
can't do that. So we gotta find our alternatives that are sometimes arguably better anyways. Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
into
that.
IFS?
Yeah, a little bit. So I work with a lot of religious trauma, so I'm sure there's
Mm-hmm.
overlap with our populations,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I love that model. I'm kind of an act purist, but I'm trying to like force myself to get out of there.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
it can be hard to do, but it can be like really exciting too to try the new things and then see them work and be like, "Oh, why haven't I been doing this all along?"
Yeah, yeah. And I think especially with that population, IFS would be so interesting. Just those
Yeah,
parts of you that you had to shove down for years and years and years.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what made you want to become a therapist in the first place?
Um, I think, like most therapists, I was the therapist of the friend group growing up. I don't know if you relate to that.
Love it.
Um, yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I got a lot of feedback growing up um, around, yeah, being kind of the peacekeeper and the secret holder and stuff like that.
Mm.
Um, but I also got messaging. I don't know if it was like explicitly from family or more from society or where I got it, but I got messaging that like being a therapist wasn't like a real career or like a viable path. So I never actually really entertained it. Um, I I ended up going into teaching, and I was an elementary school teacher for a little while, and then quickly burnt out on that. Um, Especially as like I think at that time I was like really active in my transition as well, and like oh my God, yeah, being a trans teacher, having like parents wanting their kids taken out of your class because you're trans, that can very really accelerate the burnout process. So anyway,
Wow.
went that
Yeah.
path, realized it wasn't for me, um, and noticed that like the my favorite parts of being a teacher were like the social emotional pieces and the relationship building and like all that and like moving through transitions with students. So yeah, I took some time off and then I happened to like get a job working for a therapy office and like the owner of that office really took me under her wing and like saw something in me and basically like she just gave me more and more kind of like clinical responsibilities. Like I started facilitating a trans teen support group and she supported me in co-founding a trans mentor program under her practice and like she just did like a and she even gave me she had one of her associates provide me weekly clinical supervision for the support group. So she was like treating me as if I was a clinician even though I wasn't. Um, and so I just like got a really solid taste of some therapy stuff. And I was like, I want to do this. And so she, of course, was one of the people who wrote my letter when I finally decided to take the leap and go to grad school. And now here I am.
That's awesome.
You know,
So you dipped your toes in gradually, and yeah, that is just such an interesting origin story.
yeah, again, I'm like, I just feel so lucky, and like my story is not how it typically goes. I feel really, really, really grateful.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. That's awesome. Not to downplay how hard it is to, get to full licensure, but any support we can get on the way is much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, next question. When you told people in your life that you were becoming a therapist, how did people respond? I mean, I know you touched on the idea that it's not always considered a legitimate career path,
Hmm.
and it can kind of, I don't know, it can kind of turn some heads. So, what was your experience like that?
Honestly, I feel like most of the responses were just like, "Oh, duh, that makes sense. Cool, good for you." Like, and
Yeah.
that felt like mostly what it was. I think like maybe I got a little bit of like, "Help me understand" from my dad. I think
Okay.
like, especially like, I think it was maybe hard for him to envision what that meant, like livelihood wise. But he learned with me, and yeah, but yeah, mostly it was just like, oh, of course, like you're not already okay, cool, go do that.
Yeah. That's fair that there's some, maybe some income concerns and some, I don't know, just some concerns there with being able to make enough money to pay the rent and stuff like that. And that's definitely something that I hear from my audience sometimes. So, how
Hmm.
would you speak to that? People who maybe have concerns about the rising cost of living and like, is it
Yeah,
even viable to start a business, to start a practice or something like that? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
yeah. I don't. I think it's just really like about the the risks people are willing to take and like
Yeah.
like people's tolerance level for
Cool.
like uncertainty and like kind of a long game and having to tolerate some of the growing pains and like the slow start that it can be like when we first decide to do that. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's hard for me to speak to because I am very privileged both in just like the experiences that have come my way and like the actual like material resources that I have had access to that allowed me to go to grad school and not be like deeply in debt. Um, so like I'm starting private practice in a very different position than other people might be. So I don't know, it's all just like so subjective and personal, but I think people do it. People are doing it, and they're
Mhm.
coming from all sorts of different experiences. And like this career does not have to be one of a martyr and shouldn't be. Like it doesn't have to be you like struggling to make ends meet and like giving away your labor for very little compensation. Like it doesn't need to be like that. And I think it's hard for therapists to like accept money for providing care that they want to give anyways.
Mhm.
But I think like if people are looking at their relationship to money, like doing work to really like see their value and like shift patterns they might have around like feeling like they are not allowed to make money, like that kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
you can totally do this career and not have to like struggle and suffer and sacrifice your well-being, you know?
Yeah. I love that because, I mean, how can we pour from an empty cup?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said about that we don't have to be martyrs. I feel like that sometimes almost gets glorified. Like, I don't know about you, but in my personal grad school experience, the first university that I went to, there was this expectation that you're going to work in community mental health for the first 4 or 5 years because that's the way to get the best experience and all of that stuff. And I mean, yeah, that is great experience. More power to everybody who does that. But I didn't do that. And so
Yeah.
those statements definitely, they give me some imposter syndrome. Is there anything that goes on in the field that gives you some imposter syndrome?
Ooh, I think for me it's more like this like private self, mostly like self-initiated inner dialogue
Mm.
just around like the fact that I'm a human who struggles in my own ways and like who am I to help this person with this thing that like I don't I struggle with, it's like that. I feel
Yeah.
like I often have to have that conversation with myself to remind myself that like it's not um, it's not a healed person helping a broken person. We are both just humans trying to be humans and experiencing struggles that humans experience. And like, um, I'm not an imposter for trying to support someone with something that I am also in the ongoing struggle of trying to live with, you know?
Yes. Yeah. That takes a lot of the pressure off. That takes a lot of the weight off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think is more like honest with ourselves. Like, yeah, not pretending like we have to have it figured out or be a expert on everything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I get that. I feel like, growing up, I pretty much only knew like the Sigmund Freud type of model, the psychoanalysis, where like they're the expert, and
Mm-hmm.
they're figuring you out, and especially with ACT, now I really believe that people are the author of their own stories, and they are the expert of their
Totally.
lives. We're just coming in there
Yeah.
and helping.
Yeah. Yeah. They know themselves better than I know them. And like, I'm not gonna pretend to know them better than they know themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's been the most surprising part about becoming a therapist, or maybe maybe a challenge that people might not expect?
I don't want to be a total bummer, but what comes to mind is that clients die. Um, that you may lose clients.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was something that I wasn't really prepared for, and that's something that happened to happen pretty early in my career.
Oh, wow.
Um, I've when I was in the substance use counseling program, um, and yeah, I'm happy to share more about that if you'd like. But like that's a
Yeah.
big one, I think. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean that is one that they don't really prepare us for. So whatever you feel
Hmm.
comfortable sharing, I want to hear it.
Okay. I don't know. I think like in school they're like trying to teach us a lot of what's in place and how to use it to like keep people alive.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't talk as much about like the reality that sometimes we can't,
Yeah.
or that, um yeah. But I will also say that like in not talking about the pain and difficulty that comes with that, we're also missing out on talking about the lessons and the growth that comes from experiences like that. And
Mm-hmm.
um, like I learned so much from that experience. It was like it really, really shaped me as a person and as a clinician, and like made me a better clinician, I think. Because it taught me like one of the things it taught me was that I when a client like succeeds, I can only take so much credit for that. And when a client is struggling, like I can only take so much credit for that too. Like um it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Like I did all I could for this person, and um and the work that we did was meaningful,
Yeah.
um regardless of that outcome. And I honestly like felt some relief for him when he
Mm-hmm.
passed. He had held on for a really long time through some insanely hard circumstances, and like yeah. Um, anyways, yeah, I feel like that experience like really forced me to take care of myself in ways that I hadn't before. Like
Mm-hmm.
while being a clinician, it like forced me to really like reckon with like what is in my control and what's not in my control.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I guess like for new clinicians thinking like who want to hear stuff that maybe like they won't hear as often, it's like yeah, you might lose a client, and some people that makes them leave the field, and for some people they stay, and that just like becomes a part of their story in a powerful way. And regardless of what person you are and how that goes for you, like it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's powerful. It's okay. Like, your reaction to it is okay. Your
yeah,
feelings surrounding it are okay. Your
yeah,
grief, your everything.
yeah,
Ah, that's a heavy one.
yeah. Keeping
Yeah.
it real. Starting the
Yeah,
morning
you
off
are.
right.
Woo. Wow. Okay. 'Cause yeah, I mean, that's not one I talk about often, and that's not something I've been through. And I want to just take a second to really thank you for your vulnerability in that. 'Cause yeah, that's hard to think about. That's hard to revisit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
So,
think it's important for
um,
clinicians to talk about too, because I think like it could be easier for me to like not want to bring that up because I feel like it reflects poorly on me as a therapist or something like that.
yeah.
So yeah, I try to talk about it too, just to like normalize that happens, and it's not because you were a bad therapist that happened, you know?
Yeah. And you're not
Yeah.
the only one if that happens to
Mm-mm.
you. Like, you're not the only
Yeah,
one that's been through that.
totally.
Yeah. It makes me think about in grad school programs, like, they always just, I feel like they shove self care down our throats. And maybe it's to prepare us for stuff like that. But what self-care stuff actually works for you, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. Um, there's a self-care that works for me, but it's like it also requires me actually doing it.
That's fair.
So I think like a lot of like kind of ritual and like a release type ritual is helpful
Okay.
for me. And also like seeking out nature because it can like hold stuff for me, that like there's just too much for one body to hold. So like being in nature I find is really supportive. Um, I do some like somatic things often, like after a session, like I'll kind of like I'll hop around and shake, or I'll like kind of brush off some of the energy that I feel like I've taken on, things like that. Um, oh, I have a post-it on my wall um, that says, I can feel with others without becoming their pain. I honor our
Mm.
connection while staying rooted in myself. What is mine, I hold. What is not, I release. Um, and I find that to be supportive to read to myself sometimes when I feel like I'm really like taking on someone's stuff or kind of feeling blurred with a
Yeah.
client. So yeah, a lot of it is just like finding ways to come back into my own energy and like, um, yeah, feel a sense of like what's mine and what's not mine.
Yeah. I love that because, I mean, countertransference can really be rough. Especially in the beginning, you are just looking at like all of your own personal big T and little t trauma, and it's like sitting right across from you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
But then
it's
outside
such.
of that, I think like, yeah, it's important to like do the things that bring you joy and make you feel like yourself. And that for me is like singing with people and making art and, yeah, time in nature.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful. Just celebrating life and having this separation of personal life and professional life. It sounds
Yeah.
like just diving into the hobbies really helps with that.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you have any, what are some of your go-to hobbies or self-care things?
Ooh, pickleball, 100%. Ooh,
Yes.
I'm not the best at it, but I love it. And like you said, just sitting outside, like just having a hammock out on my back porch.
Mm.
And yeah, just being able to like get out. Like, now it's October and I don't know, it's gorgeous outside. It's still like summer-ish, depending on the day. But on the days that it's not super hot, just taking advantage of that. Like, I think there's a lot of value in feeling grounded in nature, like you said.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of your hammock. I want a hammock.
Thank you. It is nice. It's so nice. So, what has helped you develop your personal style of psychotherapy? I feel like everybody labels themselves as eclectic, so we're all eclectic, getting that
Right.
out of the way. But what type of eclectic are you?
Yeah. Um, maybe I'll start by saying like what some of the pieces of my style are and then like
Yeah.
how, yeah, so my style incorporates a lot of, we already talked about IFS and parts work, and somatic approaches, um, and mindfulness, meditation for clients who are down for that, and harm reduction. And I feel like harm reduction was like hugely, um, like I was shaped into a harm reductionist by the substance use contexts that I worked in. So yeah, I attribute a lot of my like harm reduction lens and skills to that.
Yeah.
Um, and the mindfulness stuff was very much like pulling from my personal life. Like I've been meditating and a part of mindfulness spaces for a long time now, and um, I just really enjoy sharing space with people in that way and like offering that sort of space sharing and grounding. So like it just makes sense that it enters the work for me. And at the substance use program, we actually did a lot of groups. And one of the groups that I did the entire time that I was there was the emotions and mindfulness group. And we would meditate and talk about applying mindfulness and building mindfulness around our substance use. So yeah, that was big. And then like the somatic and IFS stuff was really inspired by like my experience as a client in my own therapy and like what I found um, just noticing the things that really resonated for me as a client and being like, oh, I think I want to learn how to do that as a therapist.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's like a mix of personal life, my own therapy, and then the training environments that I was in.
Well, yeah. And I feel like, especially being on the other side of the couch, like it gives you a lot of insight, good and bad,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. So, what beliefs or assumptions about therapy did you have to unlearn?
Hmm. I think that ties into like some stuff I was talking about earlier
Okay.
with the client who passed of like I can't I can't and shouldn't try to be and do everything for my clients.
Mm,
There's only so much I have control over. I think I maybe went in with a little bit of like therapist ego or like kind of this idea of like I want to go help people. Like I am helping them. Like I am doing something for them or I am doing something to them. Like there's kind of this like I don't know. Um, and I think I over time did a lot of unlearning of that. Um,
yeah.
um, yeah, like we hold up mirrors, we walk alongside people, we hold a space for someone to do their own healing work, but we are not the ones doing the healing. Like,
Yeah.
and I think like internalizing that, like I don't think I started from that place, but now I feel more grounded in that, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That there's work on both sides. We're showing up, we're providing a service, but we're not saving them.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. My one of my the before I was a therapist or in school and at that therapy center that took me under their wing, my supervisor, not supervisor, gave me an article on like uh, clinician narcissism that was like really helpful, and I'm really glad that she exposed me to that. It's just like kind of making you look at your own savior complexes and
yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, that's a powerful way to put it is clinician narcissism. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a walking red flag, so that's a good way to put it.
right. It's like I don't know, strong words, but
Right.
um, yeah, yeah, I think important to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like there's a lot of overlap with your population and like your own personal identity, personal journey. So how do you navigate the intersection of being both a healer, somebody who's, helping do the work, holding up the mirrors, not a savior, just holding up the mirrors, and also being a part of that same marginalized community that like still faces so many systemic barriers and like honestly this year probably a lot more systemic barriers. We're kind
Yeah,
of going backwards. So I mean,
yeah,
how do you navigate like juggling all of these things at the same time?
yeah. I don't know. I'm doing it
Okay.
somehow. No,
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like most of my clients seek me out because of real or perceived similarities in identity and experience. So there's a lot of overlap in um, identities with my clients. And yeah, it can be such a gift and an asset to the work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and and it can also pose challenges. I feel like part of part of what makes me a good therapist is that I'm like I'm referencing my own lived experiences, and I'm able to like empathize with things in a way that maybe another clinician wouldn't be able to. Um, and then the flip side of that is that I have to like really notice when my own stuff is coming up. I have to like be mindful and clear around like where they stop and I begin, or like you know, um, yeah. So it's like this balance of like we, us, and then you, me. Like
Yeah.
just yesterday, one of my clients arrived, expressing a lot of panic and hopelessness about the state of the world with all the like legislative attacks on trans people and stuff. And we, like I very much let myself like be there with them in that, like, yeah, I'm with you. I'm feeling that too. It's scary. Like I say stuff like that. I don't pretend not to be impacted by the things that are impacting both of us in the world. And I do, like when we did like a meditation where at one point I invited connection to like our trans ancestors and like used the word our, like, like I'm acknowledging that sharing there. Um, but then also like trying to be, again, like trying to internally in my own head be clear on like what's theirs and what's mine. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's like I feel like the way that I'm able to like keep doing that is by like talking and consultation. That's just like so necessary
Hmm.
for me to just be able to show up to some spaces with colleagues um, when like things are feeling fuzzy, or like I'm feeling like overly identified with the client, or like my stuff is getting kicked up. Like that can sneak up, and sometimes I don't always like, you can't always know right away how much of that is happening. So like, um, yeah, I think consultation and like reading that post-it that's on my wall when I need to really helps with that practice of like energetic boundaries with like a population that I share so much with.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I also can't help but wonder, how do you practically navigate, like, I mean, it sounds like you're in a decent sized area, but still, the trans community is pretty small overall
Hmm.
compared to the general population, especially. So I can't help but wonder, like, how do you practically navigate? Okay, you're a clinician that works with this population, but like you're also a member of the community, and so
Yeah.
I mean, we could run into people at the grocery store. We could run into people. I mean, especially with your
Yep.
population, at the Pride Parade or at like whatever community events are going on at Turkey
Yep.
Night or whatever. How does that work?
It's honestly just like a yeah, it's just like an inherent part of the work is like there's
Okay.
just more overlap, more um yeah, like when you have that conversation at the beginning of session of like of your first session when you're talking about running into each other out in the world, like I feel like often
Mm-hmm.
that feels pretty like hypothetical and like unlikely, but like with my population, it's like we will run into each other. It's
Yeah.
more of a when and less of an if.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's beautiful. It's really cool,
Yeah.
and I think it helps kind of like I think it challenges some of those like clinician and client dichotomies too of like I don't know. Maybe I won't go into that, but like it's a it's a special thing and a hard thing to navigate, like especially if you're like I think where it can be really hard, and like this doesn't really so much apply to me anymore, but in the substance use world, like we were working a lot with like queer men who use meth, and like there was a lot of overlap between that population and like play spaces, like sex party spaces, kink related events, and like a lot of therapists would sometimes have to like remove themselves from a space if they saw that a client was there and things like that. So like there are kind of like unique decision moments that people have to make um, in this community that maybe other therapists don't necessarily have to think about so much. Um,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like we just know that that's a part of the work, and it's okay. It's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. There's this acceptance of just you're doing the best you can and you're
Yeah.
having those conversations proactively and like what else can you do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, how would you define success in this career?
Hmm. Um. Hmm. I feel like I used to think of success as like, you know, I don't know, something more like drastic and measurable. And now I think my definition of success has shifted into something much more gradual and fluctuating and
Ooh, okay.
lifelong. And yeah, I feel like success doesn't mean feeling like radically and permanently better or like making a client feel that way. I think it's like, it's about the little bite-sized shifts. Like if we can shed an ounce of shame, if we can gain an ounce of agency, if we can build an ounce of tolerance for difficult things, like that's a success.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's how I've really come to see it. And I think like the harm reduction lens has definitely contributed a lot to that way of seeing things. You know?
That's fair.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what you meant. Like I'm thinking like clinically, like just like what do I consider a success in terms of what we do with our clients? Like that's how I think of it.
I love that. No, I asked this question because I feel like it just kind of it throws people off, and I think it sometimes I don't know. Sometimes like going through our program and getting life experience, it like flips our definition of what like success looks like.
Hmm.
And I like what you said. Like it's not always measurable. It's not always this huge drastic thing that's super obvious. It just you know it.
Yeah. Like I feel like SMART goals have their place,
Yeah.
right? They're very
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, and I think we also need ways for like making room for the stuff that is maybe less tangible, less measurable.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't really fit career satisfaction into, I don't know, into this mold.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, good example.
So, in what ways has becoming a therapist changed your personal life?
Mm. I am way less of a therapist to my friends and family now.
Yeah.
Um, I think I've developed a lot stronger energetic boundaries, um,
Mm.
to the point where sometimes it feels like an overcorrection. But I'm trying to think of what. Oh, I don't know if this is just like aging or like time and like having gone through all the therapy that I've gone through at this point, but I feel like I'm a much more picky. I'm much more picky about therapists that I work with as a client. I don't know if you relate to that. Like,
Yes.
um, I just feel so much more aware of what my therapist might be doing or thinking about in session.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've just noticed it changes my experience as a client a little bit.
Oh yeah. I feel
Yeah.
like I can see all like through all of their marketing and like I read the Psychology Today. I'm like that is so cheesy. No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel
Or
that.
it's just like, yeah, I don't really know. Like our marketing, like it can only tell people so much about you, right? And yeah, when I see someone's profile, I'm like, cool, this sounds great, but I have no idea like who you actually are and how you're actually gonna, what it's actually gonna feel like to be around you. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think maybe I have more like not skepticism, but just like I know what's actually like indicative of a person and what's not, and I think I go in with a little less like of an idea of who I think this person is because I know that I have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I don't know, it makes me reflect on my own marketing. Like, how am I being perceived, you know? Like, when you, I don't know, when you're on the other side of it.
Yeah, I part of so on my website I have like a video, like a
Yeah.
link to a video, just so people can see me talking because I'm like I wish my like that tells me so much more about a person just hearing them talk than like reading all this text on their website. So I try to like give ways for clients to like actually get a sense of my vibe if it's at all possible over a website, you know?
Yeah. Trying to be personable. And
Yeah.
also in a, like, at least somewhat scalable way, so you don't have to, like, give that speech over and over. You know, it's
Yeah.
viewable on the internet to whoever
Yeah,
wants to see.
exactly.
Yeah. So, what's something about becoming a therapist you wish more people talked about honestly? I know we touched on some stuff in the beginning, but I want to hear what comes to mind.
Just how weird it is. This is such a weird job.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I wish we talked about what a weird job it is. Like you have this deeply intimate but not mutual relationship with a client. Like you have these relationships that are very like real and sacred but operate in like this alternate universe where like our normal scripts and rules and relationship arcs don't apply and it's just weird.
Yeah. Yeah. We're providing a
Um,
service, like, it's never going to be reciprocated, you
yeah,
know?
it's lopsided.
Yeah.
It's it's time boxed and context boxed, and it's
Hmm.
um, hidden from ordinary life. It's weird. It's just like it's like you're okay. I'm saying this like very loosely. I hope whatever. It's like you're in a relationship with like a ton of people.
Yeah.
Like anyway, yeah, and it's like all these. Anyway, yeah, it's weird. And it's also weird to like know so and to know someone so intimately and to know so much of their like internal world, yet if we run into each other at the grocery store, like I don't acknowledge you. Like I get why we do that, and it's for very good reasons, and it's just weird.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then I think also like no one really sees what we're doing. Like we're meeting clients one on one, and like it's hard to get feedback for what we're doing because like when we go to consultation like we're already anything we share in consultation is already being filtered through our own experience um, and yeah, so those are things that I think about that I like to just like be exacerbated over with friends who want to talk about the weirdness of our jobs.
Yeah. I mean, that is such a great thing to just say out loud. Like, the therapeutic relationship feels like it's on an island.
Hmm.
And it, yeah, it's weird.
That's
it's
a
weird.
really
It's
good way to put
insulting.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, what role do you think therapists can play in broader liberation and community care, especially in 2025, especially with everything going on? What role can we play in activism that feels professional and appropriate and is in line with our codes of ethics?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like therapy is both personal and political, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And like individual healing and like individual liberation and collective liberation are just like you can't have one without the other. And I
Yeah.
think like yeah, there are like tangible things that we can like do, but I think there's also just a lot of like a philosophy to hold around like knowing that like the work we're doing is hopefully helping people show up in the world for what's going on in the world.
Hmm.
Um, like I think like even if a therapist is purely operating just at an individual level, like we're potentially doing powerful things to support the collective. Like we're supporting people with like navigating internalized oppression and like cultivating like a sense of agency and compassion and helping them like resource themselves so that they can show up for the people in their lives. Like, I think like trusting that that is enough if that's where we see our place in like the broader scheme, like just knowing that like that's okay. Um, but also like knowing that we have a lot to offer outside of the therapy room too, if we feel called to other kinds of work, like what you're doing here with podcasts or like uh, advocacy, collaborating with other providers, community education, etc. Like I feel like there's a lot that we can do outside of the therapy space, um, and like wherever we find ourselves, like whatever our role kind of is in this like arc of collective liberation, like it ripples out, you know. But I think like it's important for me often to like with clients to explicitly connect like the work we're doing to like the bigger picture,
Yeah.
to like remember the collective, because I feel like so often we can get like so zoomed in on our own experience, on our own suffering, like get the tunnel vision, the worst case scenario thinking, all that. And like I think whenever we can like zoom out, see the bigger picture, help clients like hold the reality that like we are a part of like a big moment in time. We are a part of a collective. Like our communities have survived so much and like are going to continue doing so. Whenever we can like really like hold that and build trust in that concept with clients, like we're helping strengthen our collective and our ability to like keep going with everything that's going on, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about it a lot, but like when you try to talk about it and put it into words, it's like, well.
Right. No, but I mean, I think you bring up some really interesting points because, like, I mean, it's so important to hold space for all the heaviness that's going on, but also have a narrative that provides hope. But we don't want to just be like, oh, it'll be okay. Because
Yeah.
that downplays everything that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I think there's something powerful about modeling or like just trusting in ourselves, like finding our authentic like role in the bigger picture and like helping clients to find theirs too, and like being like, okay, what do you want to do about that?
Yeah.
Like what can help you like alchemize this pain that you're feeling? How can like what are your values telling you about like what would feel meaningful and important for you in terms of how you show up? And if that is just like sending a text to someone that you love and reminding them that you love them, like that is part of this collective liberation
Yeah.
movement, you know, is taking care of each other and like, yeah, just like trusting that ourselves so we can help clients trust that as well, you know?
Yeah. And I love that terminology, collective liberation, because I feel like many of us, our backgrounds are very individualistic. And yes, like to some extent, like, you know, you're going to therapy because you can only change yourself. That's the only thing you have control over.
Yeah.
But also, we're wired for connection. Like,
Yeah.
we exist to live in community. And so we gotta, like,
Yeah.
hold both, and that's complicated.
Yes. Yes.
So are there any books, podcasts, resources that helped you personally on your path that you would recommend to little newbie therapists or little baby therapists or future therapists, people that are maybe considering going to grad school?
Yes. I forget who it's by, but maybe you know Trauma Stewardship. That's a book I read early on before going to grad school. Really good about like vicarious trauma. And then not all of your listeners are like going to be into the same niche as me, but the book Trans Sex by Lucy Fielding, so fucking good. like so important, such a like really uh, needed view on like how to support trans embodiment, um, and like and really like disrupting some of the like pathology soaked rhetoric that like we have all internalized, whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And then the last one that comes to mind is this book by an artist called Yumi Sakugawa.
Okay.
They do like kind of, I don't know, I don't even know how to summarize their work, but it's like kind of spiritual, kind of just like about like relationship with self and like energy and whatever. But they have a book called Being One with the Universe, and I have found it very helpful in my own personal life, but I also pull it up regularly with clients because there's like comics and like things that just really capture some of the human experience really well. Particularly one called having tea with your demons, or having cake and tea with your demons, or something like that. And it's like it's probably the most used visual aid that I bring into sessions with clients. So highly recommend Yumi Sakugawa's work.
I love that because it makes me think of Act and Demons on a Boat, but I'm sure they're
Yes.
taking it from a different angle. That
Yeah.
is so cool.
Yeah. Same idea. Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's awesome. So what's next for you in your work, Aerin?
I'm still trying to build my private practice more.
Okay.
It's like pretty established, but I want it to feel a little more established.
Yeah.
Um, And then I also like make art and would like to really lean into um, an art business and to like sell my art more. So I think the next step is finding a way to like finding a balance where it feels like I can, um, where I want it to feel more like 50-50 instead of like 90% therapy, 10% art. I would like to adjust that ratio a little bit. Um, so there's that. And then I also, um, I hate social media, but I'm like kind of gonna challenge myself. I want to try to start a social media account. It's called the Phallo Therapist. And yeah, I didn't mention one of my like specialty areas is supporting people with phalloplasty, which is like a transmasculine genital surgery. And there's not a lot out there, so I'm thinking of trying to like make an Instagram platform to focus on that. So those are like the projects that I see on the way right now.
That is so cool. Yeah. And I can't help but wonder how much, that's just giving people free resources, free information, and also reinforcing you're not alone. You're not the only person that
Yes.
is trying to do this. Just trying to
Exactly.
live your most authentic life.
Yeah, Reddit can be
That's
great,
awesome.
but Reddit is also a wild place. So I'm hoping to have a little more of a contained resource.
Yeah, that's totally fair. So, where can listeners connect with you if they want to learn more about you or follow your work?
My website is therapywithaaron.com. My art website is aerinrigs.com. And then the Instagram account, which I've already reserved, but there's nothing on it yet, is just the Phallo Therapist. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Aerin, thank you so much for chatting with me today and sharing all of your insight and just all of the tips and tricks and advice and information and validation that you have for my audience. It's so valuable, and so I'm very thankful for you for coming on.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for what you're doing. Like this is really important stuff. So I'm grateful that we have you.
Thanks for saying that. And to all of my listeners, don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful, and then check out all of Aerin's stuff. I'll have links in the show notes, in the description of the video, with all of the links to Aerin's stuff if you want to follow along and just learn more about him and therapy with him and all of that stuff. So thank you so much for watching through the end, and I wish you the best of luck on your journey towards becoming a therapist.